My friend, I want to tell you something powerful today. If you're feeling overwhelmed by lack, if you've been battling financial stress, constant struggle, and a cycle that never seems to break, listen closely when the Bible says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." It's not just poetic language. It's a bold declaration of freedom from fear, lack, and the heavy burden of trying to provide for yourself in your own strength. Those words are powerful, not because they are nice to hear, but because they are backed by the very nature and character of God Himself. They remind us that we are not orphans trying to survive in a broken world. We are sons and daughters of a shepherd who knows our every need. Poverty begins in the mind long before it shows up in the bank account. It's a spirit that whispers you're alone, or there won't be enough. It tries to convince you that your value is tied to what you earn, what you have, or what you've lost. But when you declare that the Lord is your shepherd, you're rejecting that lie. You're choosing to believe that your life is not defined by your financial condition, but by your connection to the one who owns it all. Think about what a shepherd does for his sheep. He watches over them. He leads them to food and water. He protects them from danger. The sheep don't stress over where their next meal will come from or whether they'll be safe at night. They trust the shepherd. They follow his voice. They lie down in peace because they know they're not in charge. He is. That's what God wants for you. Not a life of constant worry, panic, and striving, but a life of trust, surrender, and rest in His faithfulness. Saying, "I shall not want," is not arrogance, it's faith. It's not denial, it's divine confidence. It means that no matter what is going on around you, rising bills, job uncertainty, economic crisis, your heart is anchored in the truth that God is your source. Not the economy, not your paycheck, not other people. God alone is your source, and He never runs dry. There are moments in life when the pressure to provide becomes overwhelming. Maybe you've looked at your children and wondered how you'll feed them. Maybe you've stared at the stack of unpaid bills and felt ashamed, even though you're doing the best you can. Or maybe you've watched others prosper while you feel left behind. In those moments, the enemy will try to plant seeds of fear and discouragement. But Psalm 23 brings you back to the truth. You are not forgotten and you are not forsaken. Your shepherd sees what you need before you even ask. He knows where the provision is even when you don't. He's not waiting for you to perform perfectly to bless you. He blesses because He is good, and His goodness is not based on your performance. It's based on His promise. That promise says you will not be in want because He is watching over you with care, wisdom, and love. The world teaches us to live with a scarcity mindset, to hold tight, to fear loss, to always chase more. But your shepherd teaches you to live with an abundance mindset. He invites you to open your hands, to trust in His timing, and to believe that He is working behind the scenes even when you can't see it. Faith in your shepherd changes how you live. It makes you bold in prayer, generous in giving, and peaceful in the middle of storms. If you're in a season where money is tight or needs are pressing, don't let the spirit of poverty convince you that God has abandoned you. Instead, declare His word over your life. Speak this psalm out loud. Meditate on it day and night. Let the truth of "I shall not want" become your personal testimony. Because when God is your shepherd, you will always have enough strength, enough provision, enough hope to get through whatever you're facing. God doesn't just want to get you out of poverty. He wants to break its power over your life entirely, and it starts with your heart. It starts with trust. It starts with believing that even when you see nothing, your shepherd is doing something. Even when you feel empty, He is preparing to overflow your cup. So today, make this your prayer: "Lord, you are my shepherd. I choose to believe you will supply all my needs. I will not fear, I will not worry, I will not want." And then walk forward, knowing you are in the care of the one who never fails. There's something deeply reassuring about the words, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters." These aren't just poetic words from an ancient psalm. They are promises that speak directly to your everyday life, especially when you feel weary, stretched thin, or caught in the grip of financial stress. They describe a God who doesn't drive you with pressure, but gently leads you with peace. A God who doesn't want you surviving in dry, barren places, but flourishing in green pastures of provision. Too often, we associate provision with striving. We believe we have to hustle, push, and stress our way into blessings. But God's way is different. He doesn't say, run faster and maybe I'll bless you. He says, lie down, trust me. I've already prepared what you need. That's the heart of this promise. He makes you lie down in a place where the grass is soft, the land is fertile, and your soul can finally exhale. Green pastures in biblical times represented a place of nourishment, safety, and rest. Sheep wouldn't lie down unless they felt completely secure, and the shepherd would never allow them to stop and rest in a place that wasn't abundant. So when God says He makes you lie down in green pastures, He's saying He wants to bring you to a place where you can stop striving, stop worrying, and start receiving. Poverty tells you to panic. God tells you to pause. And not just lie down anywhere, but in green pastures, not dry land, not thorns and thistles, but a place rich in nourishment where your needs are met without anxiety. That's the kind of peace God offers. That's the kind of abundance He leads you into, not always through material riches first, but through peace in the middle of chaos, through strength in the middle of weakness, and through rest in the middle of the world's pressure to keep performing. The still waters matter too. Water in the Bible often represents life, refreshment, and the Holy Spirit. But for sheep, rushing waters were dangerous. They would get scared, lose their balance, or drown if the current was too strong. A good shepherd would always find still waters, safe, calm places where the sheep could drink deeply and be restored. That's what God does for your soul. He doesn't throw you into the rapids. He leads you gently, patiently, to waters that are still, where you can be refreshed without fear. You may be in a season right now where you feel like your life is anything but green pastures and still waters. Maybe you're walking through a dry season financially, emotionally, or spiritually. Maybe the land around you looks barren and the waters feel rough. But don't let your current view define your future truth. God is still leading, and His destination for you is a place of peace and provision. The journey may take time. Sometimes we walk through valleys before we reach the pasture. Sometimes the desert seasons feel endless, but God's promise doesn't change. He still leads you. He still knows where the provision is. He still has green pastures prepared that you haven't seen yet. And in those pastures, there's enough peace, enough grace, enough financial breakthrough, enough clarity and direction for the next step. You don't have to manufacture your own peace. You don't have to chase blessings. You don't have to run yourself into exhaustion trying to fix everything. Just follow Him. He knows the way. When you allow Him to lead, you'll find yourself in places of unexpected rest and supernatural supply. This is not about being lazy or passive. It's about knowing when to stop running and start trusting. It's about recognizing that provision isn't always something you fight for. It's something you walk into when your heart is surrendered and your eyes are fixed on the shepherd who's guiding you. So today, no matter what your financial situation looks like, no matter how dry your pastures feel, choose to believe that green pastures are ahead. Let your spirit rest in that truth. God is not finished leading you. He's not done blessing you. There's a field with your name on it. There's water ready to refresh your soul. And when you get there, you'll look back and realize He was guiding you the whole time. There's something breathtaking about the line, "My cup overflows." It's not just a poetic ending to a beautiful psalm. It's a spiritual truth that breaks the mindset of scarcity and releases the heart into God's abundance. This phrase carries the full weight of God's desire not only to meet your needs, but to exceed them, to bless you in ways you didn't expect, and to turn your place of lack into a testimony of His generosity. God is not a God of barely enough. He is the God of more than enough. And when He says your cup overflows, He's not talking about material wealth alone. He's talking about your life being so full of His goodness, His grace, His provision, and His peace that you cannot contain it all. It spills out, it touches those around you, it blesses your family, your neighbors, your community. That's what overflow looks like. It's a life so rooted in trust that you stop measuring your worth by what's in your hands and start trusting what's in God's heart. The spirit of poverty teaches you to expect just enough to survive, It tells you that you'll always have to struggle, that you'll never get ahead, that you'll always be one step behind. But when God pours into your life, He doesn't stop at survival. He pours until there's an overflow. Not because you earned it, but because He is generous. Not because you're perfect, but because He's faithful. He fills your cup not halfway, not 3/4, but to the brim and beyond. You may feel like your cup is empty right now. Maybe emotionally you're drained, spiritually you're tired, financially you're worn down. Life has a way of depleting us, especially when we're trying to carry burdens we were never meant to carry alone. But the shepherd sees that empty cup, and He knows exactly how to fill it, drop by drop, moment by moment, until joy returns, strength rises, and hope begins to overflow again. Overflow doesn't always mean excess. Sometimes it looks like peace in the middle of a storm. Sometimes it's having just enough, with gratitude in your heart. Sometimes it's that unexpected provision that arrives right when you need it. Overflow is about recognizing that God's presence in your life is the greatest form of abundance you'll ever have. You weren't created to live in lack. You were created to live in relationship with a Father who delights in blessing His children. He doesn't just want to bring you out of poverty. He wants to change the way you think, so you start expecting His goodness. So you stop looking at what you lack and start praising Him for what He's about to do. That shift in mindset is powerful. It unlocks doors, it invites miracles, it breaks cycles of fear and builds a foundation of faith. When your cup overflows, you begin to see yourself as a vessel, not just a receiver. You realize that what God pours into your life isn't meant to stop with you. It's meant to flow through you, to bless others, to encourage someone who's hurting, to support someone who's struggling, to speak life into someone who feels forgotten. That's the beauty of God's overflow. It multiplies impact, multiplies hope, and multiplies purpose. Even in dry seasons, God can create overflow. Even when the world says it's impossible, He makes a way. That's what He did with 5 loaves and 2 fish. That's what He did when He turned water into wine. That's what He's still doing today in the lives of those who trust Him. If He did it before, He can do it again. And He wants to do it for you. So if you've been living with a mindset of barely enough, let this promise speak directly to your heart. My cup overflows. Speak it out loud. Believe it in faith. Look at your circumstances and declare it until your heart believes it. Because God is not finished with you, He is still pouring, He is still blessing, and soon you will look around and say, I didn't just survive, I overflowed. That's the kind of life your shepherd wants for you. A life marked by fullness, joy, peace, and provision. A life where the spirit of poverty is defeated by the power of His presence and the abundance of His love. There's a special kind of strength that rises up in your soul when you truly grasp the meaning behind the words, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." These aren't words of wishful thinking. They are a divine guarantee, a covenant promise. They speak to the consistency of God's love and provision, no matter what you face, no matter what season you're in. And when it comes to breaking the spirit of poverty, this truth is a weapon. The spirit of poverty tries to convince you that goodness is random, that blessings are occasional, that you have to work endlessly to earn a little mercy, and even then you're not sure if you'll get it. But this verse speaks the opposite. It tells you that goodness is not something you have to chase. It's chasing you. Mercy is not a rare gift. It's with you every single day. You are not being followed by bad luck, misfortune, or failure. You are being followed by the goodness of God and His tender mercy, and they are not just visiting. You're promised they will be with you every day of your life. This kind of confidence breaks chains. It lifts the weight of fear. It silences the voice that says, things will never change. Because once you realize that God's goodness is not limited to your past, but is actively pursuing your present and shaping your future, you stop living in anxiety and start walking in assurance. Poverty isn't just the absence of money. It's the presence of fear, insecurity, and constant worry. It creates a mindset that believes this is as good as it gets, or I don't deserve better, or I'm cursed. But God's word tells you that you're not cursed. You're covered. Covered in goodness, surrounded by mercy, and that changes everything. Goodness is God giving you what you don't deserve. Blessings, favor, provision, open doors. Mercy is God holding back what you do deserve, punishment, judgment, and consequences that should have destroyed you. When these two things are following you every day, you can live with peace in your heart. You don't have to fear what tomorrow holds, because you know who holds tomorrow, and He has already sent goodness and mercy ahead of you. This promise also means that your past doesn't disqualify you. Maybe you've made mistakes with money. Maybe you've experienced loss, betrayal, or hardship. The enemy will try to use your history to block your hope. But mercy steps in and says, you are forgiven. And goodness says, I'm still going to bless you. That's the power of God's love. It doesn't consult your past before deciding your future. And notice, it doesn't say goodness and mercy will follow you until you mess up. It doesn't say they'll be with you only when you're perfect. It says they will follow you all the days of your life. That includes the hard days, the broke days, the confusing days, the days when nothing makes sense, and the nights when tears hit your pillow. God's goodness doesn't disappear when life gets dark. His mercy doesn't vanish when you feel weak. In fact, that's when they shine the brightest. When you truly believe that, your whole posture toward life changes. You stop living in survival mode and start living in surrendered confidence. You stop hoarding and start giving. You stop panicking and start praying. Because you know that wherever you go, God's goodness is tracking you like a shadow, and His mercy is your constant companion. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about knowing that even in imperfection, God is present. Even in need, God is near. Even when your hands are empty, your future is full. Because His goodness and mercy are not based on your paycheck, but on His promise. And His promises never fail. So if poverty has followed you for years, if it's a pattern in your family, a stronghold in your mind, or a fear that wakes you up at night, begin declaring this truth over your life. Surely goodness and mercy are following me, not just sometimes. Not just when I'm doing everything right, but always, today, tomorrow, every day of my life. Let that truth chase away the lie that you'll always be stuck. You're not stuck. You're being led. You're not forgotten. You're being followed by favor. And when you believe that, poverty loses its grip and peace takes its place. The words, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," carry a power that can break generations of lack, fear, and struggle. They aren't just comforting words to read at a low point. They're a declaration of identity, of belonging, of divine provision. When you truly understand what it means to say those words from the core of your soul, you begin to see how the spirit of poverty loses its hold. Because if the Lord is your shepherd, then He is responsible for your care, your covering, and your supply. Poverty is more than just a financial condition. It's a mindset that whispers lies like, "You're alone. You have to figure it all out yourself, or no one is coming to help." But when you call the Lord your shepherd, you are announcing to every fear and every lie that you are not abandoned, you are guided, you are loved, and you are being watched over by the one who owns it all. A shepherd doesn't just feed his sheep. He protects them, provides for them, leads them to safety, and knows every one of them by name. A good shepherd isn't careless or distant. He's present, he's invested. He knows when a sheep is weak, when it's lost, when it's hungry, when it needs rest. And just like that, your shepherd knows your needs before you even speak them. "I shall not want." That doesn't mean you'll never have a desire. It means you'll never lack what you truly need. It means your life is no longer ruled by scarcity. You are no longer a slave to the fear of not having enough, because your shepherd has already gone ahead of you. He's already mapped out your provision. He's already prepared the next job, the next opportunity, the next blessing. And even if you can't see it yet, you can trust that it's there because He is there. When you start to walk in this kind of faith, you begin to realize that God's provision is not based on your performance, but on your relationship with Him. Sheep don't earn the shepherd's care. They receive it because they belong to Him. And you belong to God. That means He takes it personally when you're in need. He doesn't ignore your struggles. He doesn't dismiss your prayers. He listens, He sees, and He moves in perfect timing. Sometimes the spirit of poverty tries to convince you that trusting God is foolish. that if you don't take matters into your own hands, nothing will happen. But look at the life of a sheep. It doesn't stress. It doesn't worry. It follows the shepherd because it knows the shepherd is good. The more you learn to rest in that truth, the more freedom you experience, not just in your finances, but in your mind and your spirit. There's a peace that comes when you no longer feel the need to chase after everything, when you stop comparing your life to someone else's, when you stop believing the lie that you're behind, that you're forgotten, or that you missed your chance. When the Lord is your shepherd, you can live with confidence that everything you need will be provided at the right time, in the right way, by the right hand, His hand. This doesn't mean you won't face difficulty. Even sheep walk through valleys, even sheep face storms, but they never walk alone, and neither do you. Your shepherd is walking right beside you, and when you know who's walking with you, fear begins to dissolve. Lack begins to lose its voice, and peace takes over. You can speak these words over your life daily. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Say them until they become part of your thinking. Say them when the bills are high and the bank account is low. Say them when doors close and when delays come. Say them in faith, even when feelings don't line up, because God honors faith. He responds to trust, and He always takes care of those who depend on Him. So today, no matter where you are or what you lack, know this: you are not without a shepherd, you are not without hope, you are not without help, and you will not live in want forever. Provision is coming. Peace is coming. Breakthrough is coming, not because you're chasing it, but because you're following Him. When we take a closer look at this psalm, it becomes clear it's not just poetic comfort. It is spiritual warfare. It is declaration. It is transformation. These words have power because they come from God's heart to yours. They tear down the lies that say you'll always be in lack, that you'll never break free, or that God has forgotten you. They replace fear with faith, panic with peace, and scarcity with trust in the shepherd who never fails. This psalm doesn't just touch your heart, it reprograms your mindset. It shifts you from begging to believing, from surviving to thriving. When you declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you're drawing a line in the sand. You're saying that poverty, whether in your wallet, in your mind, or in your spirit, no longer has the final word. You're claiming God's provision, God's protection, and God's promise over your home and your life. You were never created to live under the weight of fear or the burden of not enough. You were created to walk in trust, to rest in green pastures, to be led beside still waters, to eat at tables prepared for you, and to live a life where your cup overflows, not just once, but continually. Because God's goodness and mercy are not just a one-time gift, they are your lifelong companions. If poverty has held a seat at your table for too long, it's time to let this psalm evict it. Replace that spirit with the Spirit of God, the one who restores, provides, and overflows. Every word in this psalm is a brick in the foundation of faith, a step on the path to freedom, a key that unlocks the doors the enemy tried to shut. God is not withholding from you. He's waiting for you to believe that He's enough. And when you believe it, truly believe it, things begin to shift, not just around you, but inside of you. That's where the real battle is won. Not in your bank account, but in your belief. Not in what you hold, but in whom you follow. So today, speak this psalm over your home. Let every room hear it. Let your children hear it. Let your heart absorb it. Let your spirit rise with it, and watch how the spirit of poverty starts to crumble under the weight of God's truth. The shepherd is with you, you shall not want, your cup will overflow, and goodness and mercy will follow you, not just once, but all the days of your life.